Thank you. It's really in the latter role as chairman of the Data Strategy Board that I'll be mainly talking, and I'm very delighted to have this opportunity of involving you all in a process, in a collaborative process, which this board is engaged with. It was set up in May or June, the Data Strategy Board, with quite a limited remit, which was to oversee the 4 trading funds, which is Ordnance Survey, the Met Office, the Land Registry, and Companies House, and to look at their models for sharing data. Obviously, they all sell data and they provide some services. And the question was there a better way of doing this? And the key sort of foundation principle is that we could drive economic value, economic growth from shared data. Now, as we got involved in this question, we realized very quickly that a great opportunity was being missed if we just look at it in terms of the 4 trading funds. And so we got our remit widened to include all public sector information. And that, of course, becomes a huge field. That includes all the data that is generated deliberately to be useful, such as what is done by the Met Office and so on, and all the data that is produced out of the process of public services, which nevertheless is hugely useful, in fact could be even more useful. And it is to look at it in terms of sharing it with the public, making it open in order to drive economic growth. I do emphasize economic growth. I was at the at this Transparency Board yesterday, for example. There's a board which is looking at all this in terms of transparency and accountability. That's not what my board does, although we're obviously hugely supportive of those principles. It is about driving economic growth. And the idea is that there is a huge amount of data and a huge amount of value in sharing that data. We've heard a lot about medicine, cancer, from the Wellcome Trust, and all the advantages of opening up this process to lots of people. Just imagine what could happen if we could combine, well, first of all, we can open up all of the data on people's health records, anonymized, of course, made private, not so that people can get anything personal from any of this, but so you can connect all of the cases, all of the information, all of the use of medicines and how they, what happened and how people got better, and find out really what kind of efficiencies you could drive within public services as well, and how you could better, how you use data to do that. There is so much value in our public sector information that by making it available, by making it crunchable, by making it shareable, we believe could be very valuable for this country. We talk about innovate to survive. We are really looking to innovate and share and engage in order to drive economic growth and to be a pioneer, a global pioneer in this area of data sharing and data value. Now, with that widened remit, I was commissioned to produce something which will be called the Shakespeare Review, which is going to be a review of the strategy for all of public sector information. And the intention here is to look at this huge topic in terms of infrastructure, in terms of building the next level of soft infrastructure, which is the infrastructure of data. And as such, the building block, we first of all have to make the case that sharing data, making data open, is going to be a driver of economic growth. We think that's going to be relatively easy. We will do it in terms of a few case studies. There's no way that you can prove it for all cases. But what we need to do is establish that it is worth sharing data and it is worth making it open and free where possible, because it leads to innovation, it leads to growth, because companies make money out of it, as well as because you get efficiencies in how you run things within the public services and everywhere else. And so that is the first part of it, the economic case. Then we need to do an audit that will look at all of the data that is currently available and see if it is being made available in a useful way, whether there are data sets that are not being made available, how quickly they can be brought forward, how to prioritize these things, and to deal with, of course, the fundamental issues that could stand in the way of us getting the maximum benefit out of data sharing. Those include, of course, ethical issues like privacy and ownership. Who owns this data? Who owns, who has the right to look at this? Is it anybody? Can we make it hack-proof? Do we look to other ways of worrying about privacy, such as legislation for the misuse of data if you do happen to get private data? We need to look at the technological specs for this and how we drive participation through the public services. And we also need to look at the issue of capability. We talk a lot about the value in data and data crunching and all these whizzy things that people can do on their smartphones. But the truth is, not but, and the truth is, and that's all true, but there is also a very big question about whether we have the capability of making the most of the data that we produce. I just have a little aside to my role as head of YouGov, which is a commercial company producing vast amounts of data. Our idea was that we brought in a new efficient way of producing data about opinion, about behavior, about consumer preferences, and that where previously you had little polls or little tiny tranches of data, because this was based on an internet methodology and because it was based on a panel, you could produce vast amounts of data. And that was 10 or 12 years ago that we started that. My co-founder here, you'll hear from him later, Nazim Zahawi over there. We started this with very big ambitions about how data would be made available. One of the things that surprises us even today is how very few companies use the data that we produce truly as data, truly for data mining, for crunching, for combining with other information. How little the capacity is for actually getting the value out of this. Even when we supply data to very large and sophisticated data-using companies, there is no platform in which one type of data can usefully be added to their own consumer data with other data sets outside. There is such a long way to go before we actually get the maximum benefit out of this. We heard before from the UK Cancer, that the difference between the fun solar system data, looking then cell level data, how much less fun that is. You can imagine how much even less interesting is the sort of digital endless reams of numbers that you need to crunch in order to get value out of that. So the capability side is really big for us. So that is the rather huge task that we have. We intend to come out in March or April with a report, but it is a big collaborative project. We want this everything that we're doing to be open. We are having seminars, we're having meetings, and we are also going to be running a survey platform where everybody can contribute ideas and see what we're doing and therefore be part of this process. And I would love to take whatever time we have left to hear comments from you, all as people interested in the value and the use of data, to ask questions or even better, give me some ideas and thoughts to take away to help in this process. Thank you.